Many of the activists within the industry seem genuinely excited for Star Wars Outlaws. I haven't seen much other positive discussion surrounding this game, and now after Ubisoft has refused to fix the massive AI and graphical issues for Star Wars Outlaws that people were saying they should delay the game over, new clips have surfaced on social media showing just how terrible the game is. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I've talked about Star Wars Outlaws a lot on this channel because of how terrible it really looks. First, we had the model controversy where the lead character, Kay Vess, does not look anything like the actress they chose in real life to model her after. She looks terrible compared to that woman, who, by the way, is extremely beautiful in real life, and they completely butchered her within the game. And then we found out all of this information about the game that didn't sound particularly good, like the $130 paywall for the Ultimate Edition, and how they are locking the Jabba the Hutt missions behind a paywall. And now, of course, we're seeing a lot of gameplay, and none of it is looking particularly good. The media is trying their very best to defend this game tooth and nail, saying, I had so much fun with it, it looks so good, when we can see the complete opposite. It says, in the wake of them refusing to delay Star Wars Outlaws after massive complaints about graphics and AI detection, a new clip of the game has surfaced showing just how buggy and broken the game's AI detection and combat is. Now, of course, they are allowed to not delay it. If they really want to barrel forward with the release and they do want to launch it this month, that's their choice. But at the same time, the game doesn't look good. It looks like it needs another year of work. And I understand that they probably have this specific deadline they have to reach. But on the flip side, if you rush out a game and it's not in a good state, you're not going to make any money. Now, if you look at something like Cyberpunk 2077, for example, that went years of having an awful reputation, and it took them years to work on it and to release DLC and for it to get in good standing with people. Same with a title like No Man's Sky. First couple of years, things were extremely rough for them. People were roasting them, but they basically did complete overhauls to both of those games. They're not going to do something like that with Star Wars Outlaws. They're going to release it, they're going to follow their roadmap, and then they're going to drop it, because that is exactly what happens every time you have a game like a Star Wars Outlaws or an Assassin's Creed Shadows. They're not going to completely rehaul it, so they've only really got one chance to make this the best game possible, and they're not listening to our feedback, and they just don't really care about what we have to say. But it says, as shared to social media by Manga Lawyer, a review of Star Wars Outlaws and IGN praises the game's blaster battles while showing a blaster battle that is completely broken. Now, I thought that this had to have been fake. This had to have been some like weird clip where they were showing the worst gameplay possible, the worst thing that they could muster up in the game, but that's not the case. Take a listen to this.
As such, the blaster battles felt like they had meaningful stakes, and the stealth gameplay had a bit of weight to it because I knew that I'd be up against it as
meaningful stakes as they're running around in circles with like 8 enemies shooting at them, and they're spinning in place. This is not good. This journalist is saying, I'm having a blast with Star Wars fighting mechanics, but the game is broken beyond belief. All of the NPCs are just standing around. For the most part, some of them are shooting at Kay. This looks like an absolute nightmare. This does not look like a high-quality AAA video game. They've got like 10 mobs aggroed, and like only 1 or 2 of them are actually shooting, and their bullets are missing. The NPCs' bullets are missing. I mean, nobody in this fight knows how to play the game. Even the characters within the game don't know how to play it. This is a abysmal. This is not a game you can ask $70 freaking dollars for. And there are tons of people saying the same thing. They're trying too hard to sell that crap. This NPC is literally standing frozen for seconds while nonstop shooting is going on. And the IGN reviewer saying, Game of the Year, having such a blast. I mean, this is why people do not like or trust video game journalists, because it's clips like this that make it seem that they're paid. And maybe they're paid in this instance, maybe they're not, but it makes it seem like without a shadow of a doubt that they were paid such a big amount of cash, such a boatload of money, that they have to defend it at any chance given. There is no way that I would play a game that looks this way and say, wow, this looks good. This is why I stream all these video games on the channel. It's why I review so many video games on the channel, so that you can save your money and you don't have to click on an IGN article and listen to their biased bullshit they're spewing. Now, I'm going to be streaming Star Wars Outlaws when it releases. I don't want to play it, but I also at the same time want to save you guys as much money as possible. Again, that's why I try my very best to stream all of these major releases. And unfortunately, every once in a while, I have to play complete and utter trash, more so recently because I've had to play some terrible games like Concord and Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, but it seems that Star Wars Outlaws is going to be just as bad. There are so many amazing games out there. If you want to play something that's Star Wars, go and play Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor. Go to the back catalog. They're releasing a Bounty Hunter remaster. Go play Knights of the Old Republic. There are 100 other games that are Star Wars that are better, and 1,000 other games that have gunplay that are 1,000,000 times better than this bullshit. This is not a game that they should be asking $70 freaking dollars for. And what's worse is that journalists are trying to defend it. That's just not going to sit well with people. And this is another major issue with this game that I have talked about. They're trying their best to nickel and dime us. They're trying to squeeze every penny that they can from us. And they had responded to the backlash that Star Wars Outlaws Jabba the Hutt mission is paywall, basically saying, you don't need it. You don't need to spend your money on it. It's an optional quest. But you know what's funny is that while this is an option in the game, it's also an option that people don't buy the game in totality. You have to respect customers, and that is something that so many companies, and especially right now Ubisoft, is not doing. They're in the middle of two massive controversies with Star Wars Outlaws, but also Assassin's Creed Shadows. In none of these instances have they tried to listen to us, have they tried to take our feedback into consideration, and they're brushing off everything we're saying. So we only really have to take to social media to, in a way, to voice our opinions, because they're not listening to us in any other way. It's why I'm making videos, it's why I'm making posts on X, because I do want my voice to be heard, and I want your voices to be heard. They don't care about the average person, so as content creators, we have to hammer away at companies like Ubisoft, so maybe they can see how the community will come together to basically roast their game, and they will listen to us in the future. Now, I wouldn't hold my breath for that, but there is always that small hope that they will change their tune and listen to us. People are saying things on this thread like, please tell me this is not actual gameplay uploaded by IGN. If so, all I can say is, I know you were bad, but you can't be this bad? How can you rate a AAA title good when it's more janky than actual jank games? And I totally and completely agree. There are AA games that are 100 times better than this. There are games where it's only a small handful of developers working on a project that are significantly better than this, that don't get the attention that they deserve. And in this case, Ubisoft deserves all the attention they're getting because they're getting primarily negative attention. They really thought selling us this garbage for $70 was going to fly with people, and it's not. She's basically taking no damage. There are characters that are just standing around, spinning in place, not taking damage or putting out damage. But what's even more hilarious is that the person playing this game doesn't even know how to play the game, given how they're spinning around, how they're like trying to get behind cover, but they can't. They also stand and play. I mean, it just looks god awful. And I cannot wait for this game to finally release so everybody can see how lazy Ubisoft is and how terrible their games and their creations now are, and how they do not deserve the money they're asking. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.